No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show, where we are set to discuss another Winnipeg Jets victory, their third in a row, this time a very tidy, a very professional 5-2 victory by the Jets over the Calgary Flames. Along with Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss tonight's contest. You knew, Dave, that for the second straight game, it was going to be the Winnipeg Jets on rest versus an opponent on the second half of a back-to-back, and the Jets took advantage of it just like they did against the Utah Hockey Club on Friday night by their complete effort over the Flames tonight.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Drew. I mean, this is also the third game in 4 nights for the Calgary Flames. They had a bit of a weird schedule. They played Winnipeg 8 days ago, last Saturday. Then they went home and played, I don't remember who they played. Maybe the Capitals. I don't remember who they played exactly, but they played a team. They won. Then they went into Minnesota, and they won in Minnesota last night, 5-4. And then, of course, they looked like a team that had played 3 and 4. The Jets, of course, doing a very good job in that first period, limiting them to just 3 shots against. I don't remember the last time the Jets have limited a team to 3 shots against in a period. So, and what was the final shots in the end of the game?
22 for the Flames. So just like we talked about yesterday on the Illegal Curve
suppression.
Shot suppression by the Winnipeg Jets was very well done again tonight in that, what is this? I don't even know how many
14.
games in a row now. 13 games in a row?
14 in a row, I think.
14 in a row where they've held their opponent to under 30 shots against. That said, because Eric Comrie got the run support that he hasn't had for so very long tonight. He had to make a number of important saves early in tonight's game. Kevin Sawyer alluded to it on the broadcast. I think he said something like, 4 of the Flames' first 8 shots were of the high danger variety. So Eric Comrie, in a battle of the backup goaltenders tonight, certainly was the better of the two, making some important saves for the Winnipeg Jets, whereas the Calgary Flames goaltender, Dan Vladar, looked a little bit shakier than Comrie did it between the nets for the Jets.
Easier said than done when you got guys like Gabriel Velarde, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor shooting on you, Drew. Yeah. So I'm not going to pillory him for that because they were phenomenal, especially when 2 of those are power play goals. But no, I think you're right. I mean, as I was just saying, that they only allowed 3 shots, but of those 3 shots, there was some quality amongst them in that first period. So, and then into the second. So you give credit to Eric Comrie. He battled. He was there for his team when they needed him, especially when the game was tight. And then when they didn't, as you said, they finally gave him run support. I joked, I think it was after the second period, I said, I don't know if Eric Comrie's going to know what to do with all of these goals. And then they scored 2 more. So, I mean, good for him that he finally gets the win. I'm sure the team and folks are happy for that are around this Jets club and, of course, Jets fans. But, look, it's a statement win. You're trying. Look, Dallas is charging hard.
Sure.
Minnesota is faltering. I know that Minnesota was up on Chicago too.
I mean, they're up 3-0 in the second intermission.
Yeah,
so
but I mean, speaking of shot suppression, Chicago had all of 1 shot after 20 minutes. So
they have 5 after 40.
Yeah, it was like 11-1 . So Minnesota
18-5 right now. So Chicago's got 5 shots in 40 minutes. So I really hope that they enjoy that 3rd round pick that they facilitate.
Well, no, I mean, and but the fact of the matter is that Minnesota had lost, I think, 4 of their last 5. So they were reeling a bit. And Dallas is charging hard. So if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you're now tied with the Washington Capitals, 71 points to lead the NHL. It's not too shabby, if you will. And again, this is just another example of a Jets team that is continuing to roll and continuing to avoid any sort of real, like last game we talked about it. Appleton got hit by the friendly fire with the shot by Josh Morrissey. Dylan Sandberg and Mark Scheifele both got hit with pucks and were fine. And then in today's game, Mark Scheifele, we had a couple of incidents in that first period where he had the play with Rasmus Andersson along the wall where he looked. It was a really weird play because he looked like he came up funny, and then I'm watching him. Yeah. So he comes up funny. You're kind of watching. You're like, I really don't know where he's going with this. And then you watch but then the funniest part is he goes to show you the mindset of a scorer. The Jets take control. So suddenly he's a little bit better, and he tried to put himself into position. Then he comes off the ice, and then was it Pospisil collided in the neutral zone? And then he came off the ice. And we don't know why it was. We'll find out from Scott O'Neill. Maybe there was, I don't think a concussion spotter.
That was my guess. I mean, I speculated, and admittedly, it was rank speculation with not a lot of evidence behind it. But I wondered after that because it was an awkward collision, a bit of a blindside collision, not a dirty play, just two guys, running.
Yeah, I don't think they even. Yeah.
I wonder if he had to go, and the concussion spotter said, "Go get evaluated," because he came back, and it didn't seem any worse for wear for the remainder of the game, really.
Yeah, and so I'm leaning again, as I've said many times, where we sit in the press box, I can see right into the Jets with the bench and the tunnel and stuff like that, which is useful today because I'm like, Scheifele's gone. Everyone's like furiously typing, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Scheifele's back, and they immediately go onto Twitter or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that, I mean, I didn't notice that he, anybody like any of the training staff came and got him. So I'm not certain, Drew, to be honest with you. And like I said, maybe Scott O'Neill will have an update with respect to that. But my point is that they avoided what could have been, a difficulty losing Mark Scheifele. And, oh, hey, hi, Rasmus Kubari. You're now the Jets' number one center. Or maybe it's Vlad Nemestikov. But regardless, it's could potentially have been one of those two guys with Adam Lowry still out quite a while. So, just a good effort from Winnipeg. 3 games in a row now. They've got wins. And, I wrote about it on Twitter, Drew. It's amazing to me, but you cannot take a penalty against this Winnipeg Jets team. They just are too good and too fast, and both units are effective, but that top unit is lights out.
Yeah, and to the Flames' credit, they did take a while before they took penalties, and then they really got into that penalty trouble, which we'll get into in the Play Now game recap here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, of course, brought to you by our friends at Play Now. Look, this was just a very effective performance by the Winnipeg Jets. There wasn't a lot of flash to it, to start the game. Of course, there was just, which is I think what you want. I mean, ideally, sure, you want to come out and dominate within minutes of the game starting, but that's not realistic. The Jets were just the better. You knew that entering the game, the Jets were the better of the two teams. 8 days ago, the Jets were the far better of the two teams, and that's when the Flames had rest, and Dustin Wolf was their goalie, and he goalied the Jets to the victory 8 days ago. So what you had today, what you had tonight, is sort of an opportunity, not for revenge, but just an opportunity for the Jets to not have to face the same goaltender that really had them snake bit 8 days ago, to face a Flames team on the second half of the back-to-back. And the Jets at home they're just a better team than Calgary is. Right. And Calgary, the Jets sort of showed that throughout the course of the game. Every time Calgary punched or pushed, the Jets pushed back and a little bit harder. And that's what you want to see. You want to see just sort of a controlled fury from the Winnipeg Jets, a controlled effort that results in a victory. And that is certainly what you got from the Jets tonight. Just nothing particularly pretty, nothing particularly noteworthy in tonight's game. But you need those wins where it's just sort of routine, because that's how you get your building blocks, by having routine victories like that sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that, Drew. And I, like you said, this is one of those efforts you want to see from the Winnipeg Jets, because you exerted your will, and Calgary didn't really, they didn't have too many significant pushes, I would say. And so I think the Jets really kind of controlled that hockey game, and that's what you would want to do. I mean, you can say, look, there's been games where the Jets have been playing 3 and 4 or back to back. So, I mean, like, everybody does it. And you can use it as an excuse, but ultimately, if the Jets lost this game, you're not going to be happy losing to a team in Calgary that just played 3 out of the 4 games. And Calgary is obviously wanting to keep their position where they are in the wild card standing as the second wild card team. They don't want to fall, of course, and give the Canucks or Blues or Utah or any of those other clubs, a little bit of life and a little bit of hope that they're going to be able to catch them. So if you're the Flames, this was an important game, even though, like I said, they'd won 3 in a row, starting with that win over Winnipeg last Saturday. But like we talked about throughout the course of this weekend, now it feels like, Drew, this is just a Jets team that was rolling along. And again, these lines are showing some consistency and guys getting more opportunity. David Gustafsson, the 3 games in a row for the first time in his career with at least a point. So he's looking like he's got more. And it's interesting because even on the play, I don't know if anybody noticed it, but Gabe Vilardi, I think he was doing his shoelaces up, or skate laces, I should say. And
if he was wearing shoelaces, it would have been that much more
it would have been very impressive. Yeah.
He's playing broom ball out there.
Yeah. But no, what ended up happening was that Gustafsson ends up taking the defensive zone draw for the Jets on that side, and then goes and changes for Vilardi afterwards. But my point is that just more guys are getting opportunity. And like I had the comment up earlier, the Kupari is getting some more chances, and this is a good thing for the Winnipeg Jets to see kind of what you've got, even though again, the expectation is you're going to expect the Jets to add. You want to see that what happens when a guys get more opportunity, guys like Rasmus Kupari or Morgan Barron. I thought he looked good in flashes throughout this game. So I mean, it's like we talked about, you don't plan a parade based on a 3-1. I mean, a win, over a Calgary team that is, a playoff team right now, but not necessarily an upper echelon team in the West.
Right.
And, but you just keep doing it, keep adding to the standings bank and move on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's just sort of, okay, you take the victory, you shake hands, you move on. It's not, they're going to be happy in the locker room, but they're not going to be joyful. They're not going to be, hooting and hollering and carrying on like more than your average victory. I'm sure they were far more excited and, with the win on Wednesday in Colorado. And that probably this is just sort of, okay, yeah, we did what we need to do. Let's move on. We got the 3 games on the road now. We had the Montreal on Tuesday, Boston on Thursday, and then a battle of the top 2 teams in the NHL next Saturday, which I'm certain will get all of the national media attention that it undoubtedly will deserve. I'm certain that the national media, both here in Canada in particular, will put an extreme focus on the Jets and the Capitals. I can't imagine that they wouldn't treat it with the due respect that it deserves. Oh, wait. But, it's sort of funny that tonight the Jets win 5-2 over Calgary. But really, it's actually, the game, it's not the Jets were in control for the majority of the game, but it was actually a closer game in terms of all the sort of the pace of play than it was last Saturday, where the Jets end up losing to the Flames instead. So it just goes to show you never know exactly what's going to happen when it comes to hockey. Scott Arniel is approaching the podium at the Matt Frost Media Center.
Scott, first and foremost, nice to give Eric Comrie a little bit of run support tonight, and he certainly did his part in net.
Yeah, that was good to see. Obviously, we talked about it a few times here. Us not scoring goals, but to get up like we did was real good. And then they still got tested. There were some looks that he had come up big, but the boys were pretty excited for him after the game.
Right. Mark Scheifele. Was that 2 different kind of scares in the first period? Because that first one where he looked like he was sort of limping, and then when he left, that was after another shift where that was something else.
Yeah, he just got banged around a couple of times there. So, yeah, the one was a shot, and then the other one got run into. So, yeah, he just kind of had to go and kind of get sort of reset himself and get back out there.
Right. And just on power plays, 16 in the last 12 games coming into tonight. Don't get any till the third, but you do get the 2. So you're not getting quantity, but you're certainly turning them into quality when you do get the chance. And I guess knowing that you're not getting a ton, does it become almost more imperative to make the most of the ones that you are getting?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, especially when you're in those real tight games. I don't have the answer for why we've only gotten that many, but at the end of the day, we just have to make sure that it's dangerous every time. And, tonight was really dangerous. And, I'm sure that, there's times where guys get frustrated because when you see the other team, getting on the power play and us not, it certainly is frustrating, especially for our power play guys. But just part of the game, we got to work through it. Just, we can't change that. So,
Dylan Sandberg, a lot of minutes tonight, a lot of defensive plays. Eric called him a goaltender's best friend, the way that he plays in defense. In your eyes, why is that? Why is his game something that helps in that regard?
Well, goaltender's best friend because he blocks a lot of shots and he does a great job of getting in lanes. But for me, he's become such a well-rounded defenseman. His skating ability is, and then it's not just going forward. His ability to pivot and his ability to catch people with speed. He does such a great job, with his transition. And then he's grown into the role. He's grown into playing with our top six. Getting a puck a lot at the top in the offensive zone, and then what is the next play? Whether that's finding his partner or getting the puck down low to those the top guys. He's just he's been a guy that's he's grasped the opportunity of playing in our top four, and he's earned it, and he's done a great job with it.
That little drop pass he made to Velarde, that's something we're seeing more and more, isn't it? The little.
Well, I think that's
plays?
all part of the growth too. Like, he still has, if you ask him to, he still thinks there's lots of things he can work on to improve his offense. But at the end of the day, he makes those little plays coming out of our end, and so if you can do it at our end under pressure, under a heavy forecheck, it's usually when you get some space in the offensive zone, you feel a little bit more confident doing it.
PK with a clean sheet tonight. What's been going into some recent success there?
Certainly a little bit more emphasis on some things that we want to do. I think that we obviously want to be a little more aggressive and a little bit more strike down, kind of more pressure, and it's just a case of us trying to make sure that we're consistent with how we're doing it, because it's reads. It's the other three are reading off the guy that's pressuring, and then for me the other side as well. It's those clears. Making sure that we're not getting extended out. There was a couple tonight, obviously got a little bit long, but when we can get those pucks down the ice, it makes a difference.
You used Kyle Connor a couple of times, Mark Scheifele once, and Connor in particular is knocking down pucks everywhere. What goes into that?
Yeah, well, I think KC's been most of the year. I think that I've talked about Scheif. Tonight, Coop had the penalty. So the right side with Kadri, he's winning lots of draws. And Backlund, that's their two centermen on the power play. Their two power plays. So it was more about getting the right-handed draw. But it's something we've talked about, and obviously with Adam being out, we've had to use other guys, and a lot of teams seem to want to go to our right side. So it's something that we've done in the past, but haven't really done it much this year. But it's something we can look at.
Last one for me is just who's on your list of rotating A's? It looks like Neil Pionk wore an A the first couple nights, and then Ehlers tonight. And
Ehlers, and then Casey's going to get one.
What stood out to you about how Gabe Velarde has grown into the role on that top line over the last couple of years here since his arrival?
Yeah, the biggest thing is this year is being healthy, and he complements those guys extremely well with his his ability to hold on to pucks, to get pucks, to win his battles, to get pucks. He's got, we've mentioned a few times, he's got a great vision. He's a good passer. And whether that's coming through the neutral zone, he makes good plays. But then once he gets down around that goal, he's obviously so dangerous. But I really like that shot coming off the wing. He's a goal scorer, and we see a lot of his goals probably 10 feet from the net. But I've seen that one in practice a few times, a couple of times in games where he fires that puck. The goaltender it's a hard one to read.
And to finishing off a pretty busy stretch of home games, how do you think you handled the block?
Well, all in all, I think we did a great job. We really do. We thought that, when you get that many games in a month, being at home here, you have to take advantage of it, and I thought we did. Now we got to go, we got 5 against the East, so we're going to see kind of a whole different look. To get through that stretch, sometimes that can backfire, thinking that you're gonna have easy games at home, and I like the way we handle it. There's a couple there that we would like to have, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of games in our building.
And what'd you think about the third pairing? Obviously, you used them at 4-on-4 a few times, showing some additional confidence in those guys.
Yeah, you know what? We're trying to get trying to find out what we like, what works. I saw Stan Slapper, his one-timer for the off the Appleton goal, but to me it's just we're trying to get find guys, obviously see what works. We're not done yet on the sort of the tinkering back there, but it's different. Stan, in my opinion, needs to be there. We don't have Adam, so for now that's kind of part of the look that's happening, and I mentioned that Fleur had been out and, had played a lot of minutes for us early on before he got hurt. So it was just kind of getting these guys back up and running, and, we have to make sure that, all of those guys are being a part of the roster.
Just on Adam Lowry, do you envision, is he going to come with you on the road trip?
Yeah, just as a friendly face.
Okay. You have just the 5 games left before the break. Like, do you envision a scenario where he could return before the break? No?
Don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not going to. I don't think so. Yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Yep.
There he goes, Scott Arniel, Jets head coach, speaking to members of the assembled media after tonight's post-game show.
Sure, you got a responsibility. You're the host. You got to bring me back.
I brought you back.
You're a little slow on the update there, Drew.
Well, you know what? I brought you back.
People want to see me. I'm just saying.
I know. Everyone wants to see you. I brought you back.
Well, apparently people think that I'm you and you're me. So, I mean, who knows?
Well, I ran into Jeremiah again today at soccer, and he told him that,
Now, hold on. Did he unsolicited understand that you had already given them a shout out, showing that he actually was a fan of the show and listened to the show?
So what he said was that he was in the process of listening to the show this morning, but then he was heading to soccer, so he didn't get to the part where I gave him the shout out. So I said, go back and listen to towards the end of yesterday's Illegal Curve Hockey show, and you'll hear the shout out that I gave you. So yes, it's all coming together. Don't worry, we're well.
Shout out Jeremiah. Shout out Jeremiah.
There you go. That's the important part. Anyways, the Jets victorious 5-2 over the Calgary Flames. 5-on-5, they outscored the Flames. I believe if I do some simple math, it was 3-1 at 5-on-5, and then it was 2-1 on the special teams as well, scoring 2 power play goals and giving up that one, the blast by Mackenzie Weegar. So the Jets ultimately come out with the 5-2 victory over the Flames. We'll get into it goal by goal, period by period. We do this on each and every edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for sponsoring the game recap and being the title sponsor of our programming. Sign up for Play Now and get a casino welcome bonus up to $150. Play Now is Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site and the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Some of us maybe even have 2 of the 3 legs of a 3-game parlay already won and are keeping a close eye on perhaps the AFC Championship that might result in a 3-for-3 parlay. I don't want to name names, but that might be happening while this post-game show is occurring, courtesy of our friends at Play Now.
And more importantly, dinner on Drew.
Yeah, well, dinner. I didn't say it was me. It could have very well been you. I don't know. Maybe you have put some shekels on the game with Play Now as well. I know that's usually my area of expertise.
It's more your bag than mine, but sure.
Not so much expertise, perceived expertise that ends up not being expertise. But nonetheless, I am keeping an eye on everything under the sun here on this Sunday evening edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel and Dave Manouk with you tonight. We get into it. The first goal of the game comes at the 5:28 mark of the first period. It is in chess, Dave. Pawn can take bishop. In this one, Kyle Connor took both Clark Bishop and Miromanov of the Flames to give the Jets the 1-0 lead. It's so good. It was such a beautiful goal. You're going to see it on all the highlight reels. It's also our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
The assists on this goal go to Gabe Velarde and David Gustafson, and credit to them for doing what they needed to do. But this is just Kyle Connor, a wizard in what he does. Yeah, in what he does to Daniil Miromanov and Clark Bishop of the Calgary Flames, turning them both inside out, and then tucking it past Dan Vladar. I keep mispronouncing his name. I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Just think Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly. Later, in any event, 1-0 for the Jets. Just gorgeous goal by Kyle Connor.
Oh, I mean, it is human cheat code stuff, Drew. Yeah. I mean, that was, as Fast Eddie is saying, TSN highlight reel stuff right there. I mean, that's vintage Kyle Connor, but he's making guys at the NHL level look silly. I mean, it really is unbelievable to watch him. That's his 27th goal of the season. I mean, he's on pace for 100 points this year, which would, of course, be the first Jet to do that in the 2.0 era. And it really is just a remarkable, play by him. And, like I said earlier in the preamble, I mean, David Gustafson gets his third point to Gabriel Velarde. He gets the primary assist. But as you said, it's all about Kyle Connor and what he did on that play. And he dipsy doodles. And it's crazy because he's just,
they're not in bad position. I mean, they're not real. I mean, he's got a head of speed and he just goes between the two of them. It's like neither of them really know how to handle the wizardry that he might demonstrate. And as a result, they're just befuddled at how to combat it. And they both make errors. Neither of them takes the body.
Shout out to Alpha Dog, who's tuning in from Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. So enjoy. It's warm in Manitoba, so we're good right now.
It's a beautiful day today.
Beautiful day. Yeah.
Before the game, if you got out on the river, it was out there with the kids, and it seemed like all of Winnipeg was out enjoying the river trail today because it was just so gorgeous. So
yeah,
but sure it's beautiful in Dominican Republic too.
Yeah, it's pretty beautiful. Although, Drew, by the way, I was going to tell you that as I was pulling up the Jets Flames game on the NHL, I did take a look, and the Minnesota Wild are not so much in head. They're now only up 3-2 on the Chicago Blackhawks. So don't count those Blackhawks out in the third period. Maybe the Wild are a little tired from playing last night in St. Paul. But yeah, as Scardy says, I mean, the fact is that Kyle Connor roofs that puck, and you're going to see this goal on like the highlight reels. Well, I mean, I know it's Winnipeg, so maybe not. But you should be seeing this goal
on the Winnipeg highlight reels.
You'll see it on the Winnipeg highlight reels. You've seen it on the Illegal Curve Instagram, and you'll see it a few other places for sure. But it really is. I mean, we run out of adjectives to describe his ability to score goals. But as many of his goals are highlight reel ones, this is just and of course we're going to talk about Kyle Connor in his defensive ability. But like I said, he goes through 2D and then puts it upstairs. And it's just a beauty. And it's early enough in the game really to give Winnipeg that life. I mean, if Calgary scores, then, especially because they played last night, you don't want to be chasing because the Flames are going to try and obviously play a little prevent there. But ultimately it's a nice way for the Jets to get going and get the crowd into it early.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's really that was the culmination of the scoring in the first period. The shots, we mentioned it off the start. The Jets, 9-3. So you triple your opponent in shots. Mm-hmm. Shot suppression has been a strength of the Winnipeg Jets.
And it was they I think unlike in the past, it was 4-0 for a little bit, I think through the first few minutes. And again, as you talked about, Drew, the first shot the Flames got, and I think a couple of the shots they got were good quality shots on Eric Comrie. But it was just that the Jets came out and started. That's one of the things Scott O'Neill didn't talk about it, but one of the criticisms we've had of the Winnipeg Jets is that they haven't been starting games on time. And lately it seems like they've got the memo because they've been starting more and more on time in some of these games.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the team that had the reputation of slow starts, they didn't start slow tonight, which is what you need to do against an opponent on the second half of back-to-back. 1-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes. Start of the second period, first half of the second period, again, sort of slow. Calgary maybe had a little bit of a flow to it, getting a little bit of some time in the Jets zone, but the Jets doing a good job of making sure it's not repeated chances, it's not overwhelmingly high danger, and then they capitalize. Mason Appleton, it's officially an unassisted goal.
That's the right call.
Yeah, that is the right call. There's no question about it. But you can't talk about the goal without the impact of the players who are on the ice here. Logan Stanley with the big, heavy shot, and then there's traffic in front. Nino Niederreiter causing chaos there. And what happens in an effort to, relieve the pressure, Mikkel Backlund goes to, sort of put the puck into the corner and sweep it away blindly. Instead, he puts it right onto the stick of Mason Appleton, who's sort of sitting there back door in case of a rebound. In this case, it's not necessarily a rebound, but it's a great pass by Backlund. Too bad that he plays for the Flames. And then Appleton's there to put it into the empty net to make it 2-0, just around the halfway mark, the 10-17 mark of the second period.
Yeah, and Drew, the one thing we should probably point out though is there's a number of good saves that were made, like Comrie makes a great save on Kuzmenko when Hayden Fleury kind of did the slide on his stomach all the way past.
Slid a little too far.
Yeah, and the problem was Kuzmenko's like, okay, there you go. I'll just go around you and wait. And so Comrie made a nice save. And the other thing I wanted to point out, because I don't know if I'm sure Dan talked about it on the broadcast, but got to give Nikolai Ehlers credit for that cheeky little alley-oop play that he did to himself from the neutral zone, alley-oops it, and then he catches up to it and tries to one-time it in. So I thought that was a pretty funny little play by Nikolai Ehlers, worthy of mention. But yeah, this is just, you're right. You do have to give credit to the fact that, to me, what I liked was that they swarmed the net and they were all in front. Good shot by Logan Stanley, hard, get it on net. Nito Niederreiter using that big body to create some chaos. And then Mason Appleton, as you said, Drew, I mean, there's not much to analyze after that. I mean, that's just right place at the right time for his 7th of the year, but really nice work by the Jets just to be causing that chaos. Because oftentimes we talk about, sometimes we talk about the Jets being too outside on the perimeter at 5-on-5. And I thought this was an instance where they were exactly where they needed to be, get that shot through. And then sure enough, they've got themselves a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what that's the way you want it. You want Nino Niederreiter causing the chaos. And that's that's what he's known for. You know what his game is. It's going to be relatively simple and straightforward. And just like you thought it would be, that's exactly what it was. And it's 2-0 for the Winnipeg Jets. There's a lot of talk online right now about Ken Wiebe and his mustache based on Eric Comrie's post-game comments. Don't worry, folks. We will try and bring you those comments in full later on tonight's post-game.
What am I missing here, Drew? Sometimes when this stuff is going on, I miss the the conversation. So what exactly happened?
So apparently Kenny was playing beer league hockey and he took a puck to the face, sort of above his lip. Yeah. And Eric Comrie, Ken was doing his yeoman's work as the excellent journalist that he is, scrumming with Eric Comrie post-game. And apparently Eric interrupts the scrum or interrupts his own answer mid-scrum to ask Kenny if he's growing a mustache, because I guess it's maybe stitches or it's a little bruised right above the lip, whatever it might be. So that's apparently causing a little bit of some fun kerfuffle online. An Illegal Curve exclusive, again, coming to you after the commercial break here on the Play Now game recap. We have image of Ken Wiebe's face with the potential mustache that we will share to you. Whether or not you consider it a mustache or not, we will bring that to you live here on the Illegal Curve post-game show coming up in mere minutes. So stay tuned.
What a high quality broadcast we have.
Hey, this is the best broadcast we could possibly put forth. I got it straight from the man himself. Kenny just sent me an image to see, to talk about whether or not he's growing a mustache or not. So I will try and get that on the screen so that we can get that going a little bit later on in tonight's post-game show. It's a weird show we run, Dave. It's a real weird show, and you never know where it's going to go.
It's what the people want. Drew, you got to give the people what they want. People like, I think this, some, as he would call it, minutia, but in this case, it's Mendeltia, I guess. But either way, it's entertaining, I think, for the people in the chat. I mean, look, everybody's in a good mood. The Jets won. They've won 3 in a row. They seem to have gotten through the homestand relatively healthy, obviously absent. Well, not that Adam Lowry got hurt on the homestand, but they seem to be good. And so folks are in a good mood, which, by the way, if you're in a good mood, there's 2 things you need to do. Number 1, smash the like button. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed. And when I say subscribe, generally speaking, I, of course, mean the YouTube channel, but I mean that to all of our media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, all of your responsibilities. So please do so.
2-0 for the Winnipeg Jets after the Appleton goal. 5 minutes later, a little less than 5 minutes later, with Mason Appleton in the box for cross-checking, a call that the fans in Canada Life Center didn't like. I think not so much that they didn't like this call, but I also thought that I think the fans were upset that the officials seemed to miss a too many men on the ice penalty for the Flames shortly before this.
Yes, I think that's fair. I think that it was funny because I said the fans counted 6 Flames on the ice. Unfortunately for them, the refs did not. And so I understood why they disagreed with it. To me, and again, I'm not, one to quibble about things, but Nino Niederreiter, when he got cross-checked, which happened seconds before the Appleton one, which is why Appleton came in, I didn't think that was a penalty. And I certainly didn't think what Mason Appleton did rose to the level of a cross-check of any. I mean, on the edge, I would say fine, but like it's really wasn't of significance. I didn't think so. Not egregious, at least. And so, sure, they gave a penalty, but I did not think it was one that really was, merited. But that's my own personal opinion. Again.
Yeah, in any event, I don't necessarily disagree with you. The Flames do capitalize on the power play opportunity. Mackenzie Weegar, he's such a good defenseman. His sixth of the year assist to Sharon Govich, and Jonathan Huberdeau. The Flames do a good job moving the puck around. The Jets are a little bit out of position, maybe miss an opportunity to get a clear, or at least not necessarily a clear, but get themselves reset and maybe put the puck into less harmful area. It works its way around, and Weegar has just got an absolute bomb from the point, and he lets it go, and he cuts the Jets lead from 2-0 to 2-1.
Yeah, there was a little conversation, and I don't know if they said anything on the broadcast, Drew, but from the video, from watching it live in the building, I wasn't certain if that puck deflected off of Nemesnikov or not, because he was slightly in front. I mean, it's a phenomenal shot by Mackenzie Weegar. There's no question about that. I just couldn't tell if there was, apparently the Bills tied the game, Drew. So
don't worry, I'm watching it over here too, Dave. I can go 3 screens when I need to. I got 2 screens for the show. I can go 3 screens though as needed.
Mendel's 3. It's funny because again, I'm paying attention to you. I'm paying attention to the chat. I'm paying attention to the replays that we're watching. And then the best is I see the chat and everybody's like, someone check on Huss. I'm like, what's going on? And then I see tie game, but that's okay. The Bills deserve it. But anyways, regardless of that, unless Drew has the Chiefs, then I'll go for the Chiefs. I'm indifferent really, but I'll hope for Mendel's win here.
What I have, but I have you. That's what matters most.
Okay, there we go. We have each other and by that I mean everybody here.
We got each other.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anyways, so no, I do.
Everything that comes on.
Okay, no singing. We already did. No,
all
singing.
The time.
All right.
We got each other.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, everyone. 1 second. There we go. Woo, muted Drew's mic. We're good. Anywho, poor people in the podcast are going to be like, "What the hell is that?"
Do you know what TV show that theme song was from?
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't listening. I was so desperate to turn your don't sing it for me, but just say it again.
As long as we've got each other.
Oh, the facts of life.
No.
What? Okay, keep going.
As long as we've got each other, we can, I think, take or handle anything that comes our way. Maybe rain or shine, all the time. We've got each other, sharing the laughter and love.
Ooh, it's so familiar. Growing Pains?
Nova got it.
Damn.
Growing Pains is the answer.
All right. Well done. Well done for the Seaver family, but I did not remember that one, unfortunately. Okay. Well, Drew, now we're definitely meandering away from the topic at hand. So no, the one thing I did to say though at the time was I was like, maybe the Flames should just leave Mackenzie Weegar in Winnipeg because he is so good. It wasn't super noticeable in the game. That was a big blast. And of course, like you said, cut the Jets lead in half.
Yeah, there you go. 2-1 at that point in time. The Jets, to their credit, as we talked about earlier on the post-game show, every time Calgary punched, the Jets punched back again. And this comes with 51 seconds to go. It quickly turned into the Gabe Vilardi show. It's his 21st of the season. And, this is just bad play by the Flames in terms of keeping track of everybody. But as Kevin Sawyer said on the broadcast, when every single member of the Winnipeg Jets touches the puck, as they do in this instance and on this goal, then that's usually a sign of a team that's well connected. Scheifele, the secondary assist, Dylan Samberg, the primary assist, as it's him who has the eyes allegedly in the back of his head, the little drop pass, and Vilardi comes down the right side, and he's got the time, and he's got the space, and he's got a goaltender who's probably overcommitted a little bit to one side, and he's not going to miss from that opportunity very often, and he doesn't, to make the Jets regain the Jets 2-goal lead, 3-1 at this point in time.
Well, and it's important because it's with 50 seconds to go in the game, and you've got a 2-1 lead. So it's not like it's insurmountable. 2-1's not like I said, it's not insurmountable. And so for you to be able to go into your intermission up 3-1 is not an insignificant thing for the Winnipeg Jets. And Gabe Vilardi was having himself a good game, and obviously he's going to continue to be someone that we mentioned. And I mean, even when I saw the drop pass by Dylan Samberg, really mature play by him to recognize that, he wasn't in a great position to score. So what's he going to do? He's going to give it to Gabriel Vilardi. And I agree that, it looked like he was a little overcommitted. And again, from where we're sitting in the press box, Drew, you could see that there was a lot of open net for Gabriel Velarde. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, ooh, I don't know if you're going to want to give him that much net. And he finds it, and it's in the back, and it's a 21st goal of the season for him. And the Jets have themselves a 3-1 lead heading to that third period.
Exactly right. So 3-1 for the Jets, a good spot to be in, playing the same Flames team on the second half of back-to-back. The lactic acid building up, the tired legs beginning to take effect, and Velarde takes advantage of that 3 minutes and 7 seconds into the period. This is the power play goal. This is where we mentioned the earlier in the game, the Flames didn't get called for too many men. This time, the refs couldn't avoid it. They played with 6 guys on the ice, 7 guys, including the goalie, for far, far too long in this instance, and with the too many men on the ice penalty assessed, Gabe Velarde gets inside position, and he is just too big and too strong for the Flames to handle. The Jets moving it around very nicely. And pick your poison if you're a Calgary Flames here. And the poison that the Flames took or picked was not the right one. He gets his 22nd of the season, assist to Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers. And a power play for the Winnipeg Jets that really hasn't had a lot of opportunities as of late, has been fairly dormant, not ineffective, but dormant in just terms of chances, goes 1-for-1 to really take a 4-1 stranglehold on the Flames in this game.
Yeah, and it's just we've talked about it, and I try not to use too many buzzwords because then you just get, pigeonholed into using them all the time, but connectivity, and you can see it. You can just see how well these guys play, and we're going to mention it obviously on the next one as well, Drew, but they just know where the other guy is going to be. And when they have an advantage where there's one less guy on the ice, it's almost not fair, because Davis Payne's system, and I think I don't remember, someone tweeted at us or something, said, this should be considered the signing of the season right now. And it's looking that way, because remember, I mean, was Mark Scheifele on the team last year?
He was.
Was Kyle Connor?
He was.
Was Josh Morrissey?
Amen.
Was Gabriel Velarde?
Indeed.
And Nikolai Ehlers. Now, Nikolai Ehlers wasn't, of course, on PP1, which was part of the problem and something we talked about extensively last year. But this is the same guys. Again, like I said, add Nikolai Ehlers to that mix, and you've got yourself a power play that there's a reason why they're not getting. I mean, you could say that you don't like the fact that they're not getting enough calls, but I also think that teams are trying to avoid to take penalties against the Winnipeg Jets with good reason, because their power play is so lethal. So from that perspective, Drew, there's no question that this unit is just fantastic, and similar to what Kyle Connor can do in speed is what Gabriel Velarde can do in tight. Yeah. And it's just, he's got hands, as you said, he's got the size, he knows how to position himself. It's actually amazing to me that we're 51 games into the season and teams in their pre-scouts are not saying like Gabriel Velarde, they should have like an X, Gabriel Velarde's face and an X in front, not in this spot in front of the net. Because I mean, Dan said it on the broadcast, that was his 11th power play goal of the 22 that he scored. And I don't know how many of them have been in that spot, but there's been a fair bit. So it's just it's a position. If you're an opposing team, you can't allow Gabriel Velarde to have that piece of the ice. And when you do, you're putting yourself in a position when, with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor or Josh Morrissey or Nikolai Ehlers, they're too good, too fast at getting him that puck, and then you find yourselves down 4-1.
Exactly right. Flames make it 4-2 a minute and 20 seconds later. Just a bit of a brain cramp by the Winnipeg Jets, I would say. Jake Bean is just given far too much time and far too much space to sort of walk down from the blue line. Yeah. Nobody is really in position. Nazem Kadri has body position on Josh Morrissey, and Jake Bean makes a real nice play, just sort of feeding it in tight to Kadri, and Kadri is able to get it through Eric Comrie. Just sort of almost like just a brain freeze by the Jets. Maybe they thought that it was home and cool, and the Flames weren't going to try and get back into the game. Just blown coverages sort of all over the place, allowing the Flames to take advantage to make it 4-2 at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a little bit of that like idea of taking your foot off the gas a little bit, Drew, because you're expecting it to be in the bag to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me,
it's an offensive zone face-off. The Flames win it.
I don't know if like Eric. What's that?
I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. But no, I mean, to me, that's one of those situations where I just think the team took their foot off the gas a little bit too much there. And as a result, you end up having yourself to, try and get, sorry, I had music. I had the sound of Scott O'Neill for some reason playing in my ear. I'm like, what is going on? Why can I hear Scott O'Neill? But it was something Colby had sent me, the YouTube video. So anyways, but I was trying to get it out there. But
are you sure? Do you need a second here? You got it?
No, I'm good. I'm good now because it's no longer playing. But I was panicking because I was trying to get it to stop while trying to continue my thoughts that process there, Drew. And I knew you were paying attention to your third screen. You weren't even listening to what I was saying.
I was listening to everything you were saying. Don't you worry. I listen to you all the time, my friend.
All right. Anyways, the point is that it's just it's a bit of a breakdown, and I just think the Jets were a little soft here, and as a result, and for Calgary, I mean, it's only, I think, what was it, like a minute 33 after the Jets had made it 4-1. So it gave him a little, it was one of those things that you don't like it if you're Eric Comrie, for Eric Comrie, because it had a decent game, for pretty strong game. And that kind of kills his save percentage a little bit with that goal, because we talked about, they had suppressed the number of shots, even though he made a number of high quality ones.
Yeah. And
so, just a bit of an unfortunate one, and a little bit, and I'm sure the team collectively wasn't happy. Not that they anticipated that it's going to be give Calgary life, because I didn't anticipate that it would, and it didn't, of course, but it's just one of those ones you just don't like to give up.
And they certainly, any hope for life, any hope for an epic Flames comeback was extinguished. You see what I did there? A little less than 3 minutes later, the Flames take a penalty. It's an offensive zone penalty by Martin Pospisil, and this is just a killer time to take this penalty. So he takes an offensive zone penalty for hooking, trying to do too much at an inopportune time when the puck was almost 200 feet away from your net. And so what happens? The Jets get the power play, and it doesn't take them very long at all. It takes them a little bit less than 40 seconds to get the power play goal. Scheifele, his 28th, assist of Velarde and Kyle Connor, and it's just a quick strike on the power play. Usually power play goals are often set up in the zone and work it around and execute. This one was off the rush. I think Dan or Kevin on the broadcast said it was almost like a 5-on-5 goal, the way they gained the zone, were able to move the puck, and Scheifele gets, I don't think he got all of it. I think it's probably a bad goal, to be honest. That in this instance, 4-2, Dan Vladar needs to be able to make that save, but he doesn't. He sort of looks awkward in his attempt to do so. Scheifele will take it. His 28th, sort of a weird game for Scheifele in that he was, in that first period, in and out of the lineup, in and out of the bench. He ends up with the goal and assist. And for a Jets first line that had been sort of quiet the last 4 games, they really blew, they made a big, a lot of noise tonight to get back to prominence for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to kill the netminder on this one. I mean, Mark Scheifele's shot is lethal. And, we talk about him. He passes quite a bit, but he's got an excellent shot. And we saw it. And, one of the things that were mentioned, I think it was Murad who asked Scott O'Neill the question about those guys on the PK. Yeah. And I thought Kyle Connor played a phenomenal game on the penalty kill. I think it's a real good usage of him, getting him those extra minutes. He's been really effective because he just anticipates it so well, right? So, and then Mark Scheifele, of course, it's interesting because, like you just mentioned, the reason why it kind of triggered that thought was that this is a Jets team that, with Scheifele specifically, had that somewhat uncertainty in the first period, and then his usage is normal, and he's on the PK as well, so which is a little abnormal for the Jets. But ultimately, this is the power play we're talking about, and like I had just, I mentioned it on Twitter, you just can't take a penalty against these guys. They're just too good, and when they're feeling it, which is what they're doing right now, it's almost automatic, and they're just effective. They efficiently move the puck to each other. And Mark Scheifele, honestly, I think it was on and off his stick so quick. Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't take any time.
Right.
And so it's
I
just
think he may have surprised the Flames goalie a little bit.
That's why I don't hold it against him, because I think he was anticipating that Scheifele would hold it, and instead he fires it on net, and he fires it on net so quick it ends up in the back of the net, and it's his 28th goal of the season. So he's feeling good. And the first line, like you had said, Drew, I mean, Kyle Connor hadn't had a goal since his hat trick, right? So I think he went 5 games without a goal, and so you've got a couple of guys, that they had been quiet, which wasn't a bad thing because the Jets were learning to win using other lines. But at the end of the day, your big dogs need to be your big dogs. And those guys brought it in today's game.
That they did. 5-2, the Winnipeg Jets victorious over the Calgary Flames. They head out on the road starting Tuesday night in Montreal. So post-game show on Tuesday, on Thursday, and on Saturday, all at the same time, because they're all 6 o'clock starts. 8:40 will be your post-game check-in time here on the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. We'll be back on Tuesday, on Thursday, and on Saturday night, and of course Saturday morning with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their support of the Play Now game recap. When we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show, more on tonight's Jets-Flames game. Phyllis sent me the video of Eric Comrie interviewing Ken Wiebe.
Nice.
So we will hopefully play that momentarily here on the show. And of course, we're also keeping an eye on the third screen. The Bills and the Chiefs are at the 2-minute warning. So depending on what might happen, the Chiefs are up by a field goal. Maybe we'll get Huss to jump on.
Who's got the ball? Who's got the ball?
The Bills have the ball. It's 4th down, just at the 2-minute warning. So it's basically crunch time right now.
Ooh, baby.
Lots going on Sunday night. You got nowhere else to be. None of you are going out right now. So stay with us. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Live, Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk on a Sunday evening. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you, talking about the Winnipeg Jets. They have the 5-2 victory over the Calgary Flames. I mentioned that Eric Comrie's such a nice guy. It's sort of been well documented over the years, but David, really, you get to see it. It's nice to see him get the win after having so many defeats in a row, and it's nice to sort of be able to everybody share in that victory. I'm having a little bit of trouble booting up the video that I intended to boot up here, so I apologize for that. Give me an extra second if you don't mind.
That's okay, Drew, because it's giving me time to get this tweet telling people to join us so we can share the joy that is this Eric Comrie commentary that we're all looking forward to seeing.
And I think the video should work at this point in time. If it doesn't, I do apologize, folks. But actually, let me just try it one more time to make sure it's I've got the audio on. Yeah, I think it's good now. I think we should be good here. Here's Eric Comrie after the game talking to the assembled media.
Your starts is things were not going the team's way.
Yeah.
You were taking that almost personally a little bit, or?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm a competitor at the end of the day. I mean, I'm a human being. I want to win games. I want to win stuff. Just sometimes for some reason, we weren't scoring a lot of goals, but sometimes it's my job to stop pucks, and I just try to play my game, do what I had to do consistently. And I think Flats and Helly told me, if I keep doing it my way and keep playing my way, the results will come. Don't worry, don't stress about it. He said, Helly, same thing. He's been the same thing kind of thing. It's just keep doing your thing.
When you see teammates coming out game after game saying, we feel we let Eric down, we got to be better for Eric, we got to score some goals for Eric, must be reassuring when teammates, they have your back, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're you guys know it. You guys see it every single day. We're a very tight group in this room. We're very, very good friends. All of us are very close. I mean, Shifley married me he's literally my officiant at my wedding. So, I mean, we're a very close group in here. We have a lot of fun together, and it's a great time. First of all, is that a mustache you're growing there? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I like it though. It looks pretty good. But yeah, to be honest, that whole line's pretty good.
There you go. That's Eric Comrie tonight talking to Ken Wiebe after the game. Dave, I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
That's very good. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't get a chance to see the player interviews, of course, because we're sitting here chatting usually during them. But Eric Comrie is a character. But I think his better line though was that he married Mark Shifley.
That was a great line. Yeah.
Yeah. That he. I was like, well, you mean he was the officiant, which he of course corrected. But I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people just say, I've seen the comments. Forget about Comrie getting the win. But just like, the 8 losses in a row and and even though, as has been well documented, the team had, I think, 11 goals or 12 goals in those 8 games that they weren't scoring goals when he was in the net. But one of the things that I thought was, that I think people sometimes who don't get a chance to be in the room don't see necessarily is how close this team is. And Eric Comrie is a big part of that. And I just think that sometimes people, you got to realize that and I've used this analogy and I've probably tortured it a million times, Drew, but it's that idea of that, when the thoroughbred's going out to the race track and it's wants that pony beside it.
Yeah.
Eric Comrie is right there with Connor Hellebuck. And so you might not think he's, good enough, but there are those intangibles that teams talk about all the time. I mean, it's like one of the things that Scott O'Neill was talking about Colin Miller and talked about how important Colin Miller was and what he brings to the room. You know what I mean? Even though Colin Miller hasn't played in the last few games, but just that idea of Colin Miller and the importance of what he does, that intangible. I think Eric Comrie is just as important for Connor Hellebuck and keeping him kind of light, keeping it, fun for him. So I just don't think it's something that needs to be kind of understated.
Yeah, you're no argument for me whatsoever. By the way, the Chiefs just got a clinching first down. So if you see Hustler running down the street nude, you'll know why that is the case. Because the Kansas City Chiefs are getting yet again to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks' time. Mercifully, the NHL doesn't play. The Jets don't play during the Super Bowl. The NHL realizes not to go up against the Super Bowl, thankfully. Not so much tonight with the AFC Championship game, but lots going on. So we're able to multitask. And just piggybacking again on the Eric Comrie interview, I present to our loyal audience the following picture of Ken Wiebe. Let me see if I can make it bigger to be able to get the mustache. Can you guys?
Wow, he sent you a selfie.
He sent me a selfie. Yeah, there you go. Oh, hang on, I think I got to
true.
move it down. There you go. There's Ken's mustache. It's hiding a hockey injury, but there is the mustache of Ken Wiebe that Eric Comrie was referencing tonight here on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
You never know what you're going to see here on the Illegal Curve hockey show or the Illegal Curve post-game show. And I didn't anticipate Ken Wiebe's smiling mug at being on the show, but maybe it is what it is.
That is what it is. There is so Ken apparently took a puck in the face playing.
All right, it's enough with Ken. Let's
Ken. It's enough of a photo. I agree. Ken will talk about it more, I'm sure, with him and Sean on the Kenny and Rennie post game show, which you can of course tune into shortly thereafter when we are done. You stay with us and then you move over to Ken, where he will give you a blow by blow recap of his hockey related injury, hockey related revenue going up. Hockey-related injuries hopefully going down for all of us in the assembled media. Jets 5-2 victory. They're head out east 5 games in a row before the Four Nations Cup. Things are going relatively swimmingly. They're healthy with the exception of Adam Lowry. Seems like they get through everything unscathed. They get the much-needed win for Eric Comrie tonight. So all in all, after a bad Monday, the next rest of the week. So, bad Monday. It's amazing how the storyline can change in 6 days. Yeah. 3 straight victories for the Winnipeg Jets to reaffirm themselves as the top spot in the Western Conference and tied with the Washington Capitals for tops overall in the NHL in terms of points. The Caps a couple games in hand still.
Yeah, and again, Dallas still has 2 games in hand on Winnipeg, but the Jets now have an 8-point advantage on them, and they're in their last 10 now they're 7-2-1. One of the things worth mentioning, Drew, they've got the best home record, 25-3. Wow. So there's been a lot of joy at Canada Life. 14-9-0 away from the building that took a hit, of course, with some of the way that played on the road of late. Yep. But this has just been a very good hockey team, just under 700 winning percentage. So the Jets, continue to just chug along, and importantly, like I said, I think if you're looking back at the last few games and you're trying to kind of put your finger on it, I think it's the key has been that they're getting production from everyone. They're getting, whether it's actually goal scoring, but
I was wondering how long it was going to take for somebody to come up with Kenny's mustache as a username. I'm not sure if that's Kenny's water bottle, but maybe he's rebranded into Kenny's mustache.
It's a good thing. I mean, of course, worth pointing out for the people who are listening on the podcast after that, we now have someone in the chat named Kenny's mustache. For extra bonus points, though, Kenny's mustache, it would be if you can snap a picture of Drew's photo that he just put on the screen and then have that as your little, your picture. That would be chef's kiss on that one. But at the end of the day, this is, like I said, Jets fans and Jets are the Jets themselves are feeling good. Practice tomorrow. We'll have that, of course, covered on a little site called illegalcurve.com. Also have Moose practice covered as well there also heading out on the road. So there's not going to be any hockey for me to go to for the next little bit, Drew, but I'm okay with that. We won't see another Jets game till next Tuesday, I believe, live at Canada Live. What is that, February 4th or something like that? So I'm not entirely certain, but
I think they have Carolina and then the Islanders on the 7th to wrap it up before
and as Mike McIntyre pointed out, there are only 3 home games in February. So if you're wanting to see the Jets, you might want to go see them next Tuesday or Thursday, or no, Friday. It's Tuesday, Friday, because then there will only be one more game for the rest of the month after those. So they don't have a lot of home games, but hey, they've played a lot at home and they've had a lot of success. So things are going well for the Jets. I'm not going to do a Moose Minute, Drew, because I'm sure you want to take off, but especially because the Moose heartbreak. I'll just say quick heartbreak for the Moose. They played a pretty good game, but I will say one thing, Drew, because I think it's notable. The Jets are probably going to make a recall tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Parker Ford. Now, it's probably going to be Brad Lambert, but Parker Ford, who, of course, if folks remember, not this past training camp, but last year's training camp, everybody wanted Parker Ford to be the, signed out of Providence College, to be the 13th forward for the Winnipeg Jets. He went down, had a good season with the Moose, and now he's got 7 goals in his last 9 games for Manitoba. He's got the team lead in scoring, and he's, depending on what kind of player you need, if he's not a center, he's a winger. So if you want a center, then it's going to be Lambert. If you want a winger, like I just said, Ford brings a certain
And the reason, let me just back everything up. So the reason Dave says there's going to be a recall is because we know that teams don't like going on a road trip without having one extra player.
Right.
And that's where the Jets would be at. Adam Lowry, as Scott Arneal said in his post-game media availability, he'll be on the trip, but more there for moral support and everything else. Not an option for the Jets through the end of the break before the Four Nations Cup. So the 13th forward that they call up could be Brad Lambert, to your point, or it could be, like you said, Parker Ford. Sounds like he could be rewarded for some good effort and that the Jets have experienced or that the Moose have had. He's been sort of a contributor, not necessarily in the wins and loss column, but he's been effective for the Moose as of late.
He has, and I know Doug Henderson, I don't know why he's saying we don't need any Moose players, but most teams generally don't only go on the road with 12 healthy forwards, especially with guys who are banged up. So I mean, ultimately, you're always going to want a 13th, and you don't have that right now, and you're not going to play. I mean, I guess you could go 11-7, but ultimately that's not really what this team generally does. So my expectation would be that they'll take someone on the road. I just wouldn't be surprised if it's Parker Ford because of how good he's been playing. But again, if you want a center because Lowry's the guy who's out, then you may, even though they've got Scheifele, Nemesnikov, Gustafsson, and Kupari, so don't really need a center. But if they decide they want a center, they'll pull Lambert up and they'll give it to him. He's been playing better. But like I said, to me, Parker Ford has been very good, very effective, and brings a different type of energy than Lambert does.
Something to keep an eye on tomorrow on illegalcurve.com. And of course, as Dave's going to have coverage of the Jets practice before they head out on the road to Montreal on Tuesday night. That will be it for us tonight. We say thank you to everybody who joined us Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night. It's been a busy weekend full of shows, but we love it so much, and we love that you're
Sunday
here
night,
with us.
Drew.
What did I say? Saturday night?
Saturday night.
So I meant Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday night. That's what I meant to say. The important part is that thanks to all of you for being here with us each and every time we go live. Be sure to smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your associates, tell your colleagues, and tell utter strangers that the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and again on Saturday mornings, is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Big thanks to our sponsors, Play Now, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Holt Dental, City Place, Boston Pizza, and Seagram's. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. IllegalCurve.com is your number one resource. Dave Manouk is the man on the right. I'm your host, Drew Mindell. Until Tuesday night at around 8:30, 8:45 p.m., we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @IllegalCurve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.